So the police chief down in Maui sat down for an interview with a local news outlet to talk about the fires down in Lahaina. And, oh my God, I feel like I have to bite my tongue here because I don't want to say too much and ruin this interview for you. I already watched it and I'm going to have a lot of thoughts about it after I roll this interview really quickly. But yeah, this is what I want you all to do because I feel like if I say too much, I'm going to, I don't know, maybe taint your judgment. Maybe I'll give you ideas. I want to hear from you all how you actually feel. What do you notice about this interview that maybe I don't notice? As you watch this interview, I want you all to comment in the comment section. Let me know your feelings, reacting to some of the things that he says. You can leave as many comments as you want. I am going to save my thoughts and opinions for after the interview, though, because I want you all to just go in with a fresh pair of ears and a fresh pair of eyes and see if you all maybe feel the same way I feel about it, or even if you don't, that's okay too. I just want a genuine response from you all. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the interview. We'll watch it, and then afterwards, I'll give my reaction. But go ahead and start dropping the comments now, and I'll talk to you all very soon.
So when the initial incident happened, I had outpouring and support from all the law enforcement executives, leaders within the state of how can we help. And this being such a large-scale incident, we absolutely took them up on the offer, and we were grateful to do that. We had folks from Oahu, we had folks from Big Island, we've had folks from all over. And so if we're referring to the HPD folks, they were embedded in the MINT, which is the Morgue Investigation Notification Task Force, and they were helping with the identifications and notifications of those that we lost. And they were basically doing very complex investigations to determine some of the particulars that we were dealing with. And so they did a great job. We have folks from the FBI still here with us, folks from DOD still here with us, and that also includes the National Guard. We've got folks from the Sheriff's Department, so the state law enforcement, and it's just it really has been a one team, one fight effort, and I'm very proud of everybody in the profession that stepped up, and they literally they did not ask how do we get there, what about our rooms? They came as fast as they could and made it happen. And something interesting is the Sheriff's Department, when they actually came and bought 6 vehicles right off one of the car lots because they knew that as they were going to build out their program and their state law enforcement program, they knew they would need them at some point. So they said, hey, let's just go get these now because we know we're going to need them. And so, that kind of stuff really helps.
Mm-hmm. So can we expect to see any more flyover or?
I think that during different times we will see some folks as needed, depending on what that need may be. I don't want to limit and say no, but we do have a large area that we have to contain. We are using sheriffs to support our personnel there, as well as support with the National Guard, because there is because the National Guard is supporting the law enforcement capacity. That's why they're here, and that's why they're doing that area, which is the perimeter. There's other members of the military that are doing things such as the engineers and some of the other things that they're doing, but I can only speak for when it touches or is in concert with law enforcement.
Okay, gotcha. Are there any maybe new updates you could share about the recovery efforts, the cleanup, anything new?
So I can tell you this, that we are working with the FBI, and we're going to update a list tomorrow. And we're going to do everything we can to have the numbers that we have, missing persons reports, open missing persons reports, to match those that are on the FBI list. I don't want to say what that is now because I know they're still working very hard today to finish that up, but I can tell you this, that I'm very confident that moving forward very soon we'll be using the MPD missing persons numbers as the official number moving forward. We are getting information from those reports to go back and do we've done secondary searches, but to do additional searches based on the data from the missing persons reports. And that's why it's so important to have that, because we have anthropologists here and they can sift and they can go through some of the areas. We had the USAR, the urban search and rescue teams, and they went with the canines and they recovered those that we lost, that we have found. But the urban search and rescue teams can take the actionable intelligence from a missing persons report. So instead of just a first and last name or a name on a sticky note, now you've got where the person was, their physical descriptors, different identifiers that they may have. Like if you know that somebody had a artificial hip or something like that, and you find somebody, it may help you lead to who you've recovered based on the information you've got, which is why those reports are so valuable and so vital in the investigation.
And I feel like you kind of touched up on this. I don't know if it was you or the FBI person, but there was some discussion as to why those numbers may not match up with each other. Could you kind of remind me?
Yeah, so it's really simple. When all of the information started coming in, and we've now seen, based on your news organization and other news organizations, how there was organized misinformation efforts, and I think that's extremely important, because there were groups, entities, even foreign groups that wanted to mislead. And so I can tell you this: we have looked at over 3,000 names. And the FBI was lead on this, 3,000 names that we have found to be safe. And so when we first had all these lists coming in, we've now made sure that 3,000 people are safe. And I can tell you that we are under 50 and rapidly working open investigations. And I expect us to be under 40 by the close of business today. And that's huge, because we've identified upwards of 70 plus people. Now, not everybody's been notified yet, but we've got 70 folks that we've already made identifications for. And so depending on how many open missing persons cases we've got, we're going to really know the size and scope of this event. And the numbers that were falsely reported by some of the intentional false reporting folks, it's not going to be what the reality of this situation is.
Got it. Okay. Sorry, just a follow to that, to clarify. So those 70 people, they're safe, or they're...
No, that's 70 folks that we have identified that have passed. Right, okay. And then, as far as with the numbers, you had all these different number sources coming in. So they had that college list that had over 1,000 people on it. You had a Red Cross list that had several thousand people on it. But you may not have a human being that gave that name. It may have just been, hey, I heard we're missing, Tommy. Okay, well, Tommy who? Well, I don't know, but, this other person told me that, we're missing Tommy. Well, that name did get entered, but it's not a valid name.
Gotcha.
Because you need more than that.
So this question just kind of popped up in my head. Because this was a fire, right? Do you believe there are instances where someone may have burnt so badly, just reduced to absolute ash, that there's no way to identify them, like, at all?
I asked that very question. I think it's a valid question, and knowing the temperatures that we had, and the time of it. It is possible. However, I don't know that we're going to find that to be the case. Okay. And so once we actually hone in on how many folks are in fact on a missing persons report, how many we recover, and we really know exactly where we're at, and I think we're very close to that. My goal would be that we recover everyone, we leave nobody behind. And so if that's possible, and that's why the Mint and the investigation that we were talking about is so valuable, because remember this, MPD has police responsibilities, not just to the fire and the containment, not just to the Mint and what's going on at the morgue, but we still have to answer calls for service. We have to do complex investigations. We have detectives that are running out to ensure that they're doing follow-up. We have officers that are going out to domestic violence calls. And so, we still have all those other things. And so police are usually a support role in a fire, but because of the fact that we've got to do these investigations, we're doing that part. But I'm going to do everything, as is everybody in MPD, to make sure that we're as thorough and complete as we can, and that we get the dignity and respect for all those that we lost, and we get them as identified as possible, so that we can make sure that their family get that closure that they need and so desperately want.
I don't know. It's just something about this guy that totally rubs me the wrong way. He comes across as a jerk. He always looks like he's like upset or aggravated to be there, as if he's annoyed. Look, all I'm saying is that I know this is a police chief, but this is not the type of cop that you want pulling you over. Like, you can just look at the guy. I don't care how you feel about police. You can just look at him and you just know he's that asshole cop, right? At least in my opinion. But anyways, as you all know, I've been paying attention to this situation very closely. And I find it odd that now he's changing his story. You see, the reason why they say people can't return to their homes, the reason why they say they built these fences and walls and barricades to keep people out, they say the reason they did that is because a lot of these people's bodies were reduced to ashes. So when you walk through the area, you could be walking on people's ashes. You could be messing up evidence. That's the excuse that they have been using. That's why they say they're putting up these barricades, not allowing anyone in, not allowing people to see stuff. They claim that it's toxic in the area. It's not safe. Meanwhile, they allow Joe Biden and other politicians to walk around the area. It doesn't make sense. During the chemical spill out in East Palestine, Ohio, you definitely didn't see the president walking around the chemical spill zone, yet they're telling these natives, people who live in this area, that they can't return home because it's dangerous, yet it's not too dangerous for the president. Weird, right? But anyways, that was the claim, that all of these bodies have been reduced to ashes. Yet right here, he says, oh, we don't think that's going to be the case. Looking at the flames and the trajectory, looking at blah, 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 we don't think that's going to be the case. Yet that's the main excuse y'all have been using for blocking people from returning home. That's the main excuse y'all have used for building these walls. But now you say that's not the case. And honestly, I don't understand how that couldn't be the case. You got cars out here that look like they got freaking hit by Star Wars laser beams, melted, steel melting. It looks insane, but I guess the bodies are all intact, which is a totally different story than what he was originally saying. But you see there how he tried to bring up misinformation. News outlets and everyone, they're running misinformation campaigns. The only one running a misinformation campaign is the officials down in Maui, the police chief, the governor, the mayor, all of these people. They're the ones spreading misinformation. They're the ones providing fake numbers. And once again, he had a chance to explain how they got to their numbers. He claims it's so simple, but then he talks around in circles. Oh yeah, we've reduced the number to this. We've identified all of these people, but we haven't notified anyone yet. What? Did y'all remember that part? Oh yeah, we're identifying all of these people. They're no longer missing, or we're identifying these bodies, but we haven't notified anyone yet. I'm going to sit here and talk to you about it on the local news, okay? I'm going to sit here and tell reporters about it, but I haven't contacted family members or loved ones of the people that we identified as not missing or dead. That doesn't make sense. That lets you know that he's not being honest, at least in my opinion, allegedly. I mean, come on. Oh yeah, we went from 3,000 missing people to 70 missing people. I'm not going to really explain how we got to that number, but that's the number that we're at now, and we haven't notified anyone of it, but we're going to talk about it here on the news. What? It's just all bogus BS. It's all bogus BS, and I hate how, these police press conferences and interviews, they always turn into like Sports Center. Like when you run up to the QB after he wins a big football game. So how did you win the game? How do you feel about winning tonight? Yeah, the guys, the defensive line, they did their jobs. We came out here to play. We fought hard. That's what these things always turn into. I'm going to sit here for 5 minutes of this interview and thank all of the different police departments and talk about what a good job they did. No one wants to hear that. No one gives a damn. We want to know why we haven't heard anything about these missing kids. Why you went from 3,000 missing people to now you're claiming it's going to be around 40, but you haven't notified the people? You even acknowledged that? Come on, man. Come on. But anyways, let me know your thoughts about this down in the comments below. While you're down there, hit the thumbs up, hit that subscribe, ring that notification bell, and I'll talk to you all soon in the next video.